Okay, just a quick video on this because I know my charts are just super busy and people will go, "What are you talking about?" half the time. Um, so obviously there are factors on the bull and the bear sides for this, and you've always got to consider both. So just take everything off for a minute. So obviously I was looking at this a minute ago, and you do okay. So the 2 month supply is the fact we've had a red, green, and then a red down close. This is not particularly strong. It's obviously been brought back up high, but it has created this zone, this green candle, and that's obviously just where we're tapping today and where I've had an alert in there. We look at the overall chart, and this obviously can still be a very small consolidation compared to the volatility we've had from previous tops. But then also, I think there are very different factors at play now, anyway. So I don't necessarily know if I want to consider that. But obviously, I end up torn between, what is my bias, and I need to find specific reasons to have a bias. Everyone who follows me knows I predominantly trade supply and demand. So, excuse me, while we have that 2 month supply, and then further we've got the monthly in here. We previously had a monthly, but with the close below here from back in when's that May. So again, there's a level here which coincides with the 2 month that we've just hit, and then this monthly. On top of that, we've had various weeklies and things. So while we still have supply above, that is the thing I predominantly trade, and therefore I'm bearish until I see that get broken. And then, you reflect and you think, well, that is quite hard because here it made a slightly structurally different monthly supply also, but it was also weak, did reject off here, but then obviously the following month it threw a giant candle through it. I do think the context is a bit different here. We were not quite at this supply area, although we just came through that anyway. And versus here, we've, as I commented before, had this giant range. Can't put my pictures back on to show because this is just too much. But so I think I was showing previously on another chart, but I want to be quick with this. But so yeah, obviously, anyone who trades a range, it is possible now. We've had wave up retracement, and it's possible that this is now a deviation at the top of the range. It's unable to break out, and then it's going to retrace all the way to the bottom of this range. So don't discount that, and that's why I remain bearish until I see otherwise. On the yeah, so on the and what we're seeing also so far is that we created a 3 week supply in there, two red, green, and then two reds. Came back up, came high inside that green candle, but then rejected. That very strong 70k rejection with all the walls that we had up there. On the two week, exactly the same. We had a 2 week supply here, dropped, retested, dropped. Another 2 week supply, retested, coincided with the 3 week, dropped. So all we're seeing at the moment, oh, and then obviously more recently we've got this 2 week here, which coincides now was now become a monthly and a 2 monthly. Again, green, red candle dropped, and now we're retesting in that 2 week zone. So all we're seeing at the moment is supply being created and retested. We had a weekly, would have been a 2 week as well later, came up, retested. We had another weekly, came up, retested. So we are seeing this small downtrend. However, it is a slow downtrend. And then, okay, so we've got the local range. I can put my drawings back a little bit now, but so obviously most people are drawing what's a giant bull flag. These are things I don't use very often, these patterns. I've seen somebody say, no, this is not a bull flag, um, because it's gone on for too long, but I don't know any back testing on that to know um, if that's a thing. And if it's gone on too long, does that mean no, we can't call it a bull flag anymore? Who knows? For me, normally I want to see proper compression in it. And this is not bad. I mean, it's better as rather than the parallel channel that I have drawn here, it's better probably as a wedge. And then you do have a bit of compression. Um, but anyway, regardless, even if you do have a pattern, you just look for the pattern to break. So sure, if we come back up here, probably not the parallel channel, but if we come back up to this brown line across the top here for the broadening wedge and start testing in here, and certainly if we get that high, we'd start to push bullish, of course. Um, still be at the top of the range though, and still in 2 month supply. Um, the other thing of note is again, I've had this red box here, which I've referred to quite a few times from this original. So we had this original consolidation, which was holding the consolidation following that, breakout above that red box. It started to dip below. It still held dipped below, and now it's a lot below, and now it's rejecting even more. And the other sort of fairly critical thing here is that we're now back in this red box, and we did reject it, the red box here, and came back down for a long, did manage to get back above, but couldn't stay above it. So all of these consolidations are now unable to stay above this zone that was originally holding the consolidation. So again, like if we do reject here, then I'm certainly going to expect lower. But then obviously we just looked to the next demand, and the next demand was down here, and that's where we had long entries from back at the start of August. There was the weekly zone, and then I said originally that I wanted to wick through into the daily there, which we got. So again, so like I say, there are factors, but for me, most of the factors are pointing bearish at the moment. Um, and that doesn't mean to say you can't look for longs. That's why I had this in here. I was slightly wary of it, but it did hold. Um, then the other final thing. So yeah, okay. So as just to summarize that, being under this red box makes me more bearish. But even if we go higher, we have this monthly level that's just a little bit higher at 62, high 62s, and then we have this 3-day up here. I can see obviously we've got consolidation going on here, and and it is sort of holding despite having all this supply in here. So I need to be wary of that and still look for longs. If I start to see a weekly level flip or something like that, I'll certainly be much more confident looking for longs. We did also leave a gap back down here, so that's something to be conscious of. Um, and yeah, and if we can reclaim this red box and actually hold above it, so again, you can look at trading that, but we'd need to see the test and the hold on top of that, which we haven't got since back here. Um, so yeah, so ultimately, I'm bear biased for the moment, but based on supply and demand. And then, as I've said previously, I would be first looking for the 43s, 42s. It concerns me a little bit that everybody else is on that as well. It's not a zone I would normally look at once we'd had a consolidation to this extent. And if this ends up being a distribution, I would want to look back down at the 30s in the monthly and the start of the last move up. Um, I would only look here because this is where the ETF's bought in. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I was reflecting the other day that the 2017, 2018 top was when CME started. Oh, sorry, that's 2021. No, but this is exactly when everybody was all excited about CME coming into the game, and that was the top. So everyone's all excited here about the ETFs coming into the game. Sure, we got another push from the 30s up to here, but are we now just going to trap all the ETFs and drop back down significantly? Anyway, we shall see. So the other things I look at for confluence that most people know, if you follow me, is Korea. So the BTC Korea pair. Um, the monthly supply on this is quite a lot higher. Um, and this generally looks like I think it's dying off a bit more than the US dollar pair, which is interesting. But what I would look for, so if the US dollar pair does push and it pushes like up to the top of the consolidation, I'd potentially look for when the BTC Korea pair hits this monthly supply. It's got some delete some out of here now, but it's got some weeklies through here, so it could reject sooner, but its monthly is up again above, making the higher high from the recent August high. So potentially you could look for confluence when this comes to here if we do get more of a push. The other thing is CME has just hit 2 months supply as well. So again, similar structure to the US dollar, not surprisingly, it's got this red box across the middle. It's potentially rejecting 2 months supply and the bottom of that range now. And then finally, the US dollar pair. So US dollar dominance. Excuse me. This is the only one that's sort of slightly off because obviously um, we've had alts like massively underperforming. So this fell a lot more. This is the inverse basically of BTC, but this has fallen a lot more over the previous 6 months. It's come back up. So we've got a 3 month supply in here, which it's just about to test, but hasn't quite. Can't really see very well. But it also obviously made the reciprocal 2 month demand in here. It's not a strong demand, but it's strong from the perspective that at the base here we were coming off 6 month demand. And again, that was why I had a bear bias on Bitcoin when it hit the highs, because I was like, US dollar dominance has just hit 6 month demand. And if you look at the most basic simple chart, up, retrace, up, retrace, up, retrace, back into 6 month demand, up, And I know people won't like to hear that because people love crypto, but there's some differences. It's obviously a more extended drop here. It's taken more time to get down here, but again, that gives it time to sort of essentially accumulate US dollars. But I don't know. So, I was bullish on this from when it hit into that 6 month demand. Took a bit of time to turn around, but and now we have this 2 month demand, and so it's possible this still can drop significantly. And if this did drop all the way down to the 2 month, then I would expect Bitcoin to break the all-time high. But again, if we have that, that will be where I'd be looking potentially for Bitcoin to make a top. Um, Obviously, it doesn't have to come all the way back down there, and it also hasn't quite got, you can see I've on alert here for 3 months supply, it hasn't quite got high enough yet. So it doesn't have to come all the way back down there if it doesn't want to. It does have a 3 week in between that's already been tested. It's got a new 2 week which it's testing now. So it is possible that Bitcoin rejects now, and this gives us the confluence. But in a perfect world, this would be down in the 2 month. Um, and yeah, I don't want to make this video much longer because it's already over 10 minutes. But part of the other things I was thinking about on this and that I've commented on in chat. So if you go into the chat, you can look from last week. I made a lot of comments and I think a short, yeah, voicemails rather than maybe a short video on Ether. Is possible now that Ether and alts get a run. And that would, and Bitcoin still holds the range because there are similarities to back in 2017. Um, and at that point, let me just go and have a look at that quickly. So back in 2017, through this corrective area, which I still think bears remarkable similarities to this, and I've said that quite a few times, ETH and where that's at bears a lot of resemblance to this. And at this point in time is where Ether had a bit of a run, not a massive one, but then ETH BTC managed a decent bounce. And BTC basically just went sideways, and alts ran as well. So I guess I haven't looked at what US dollars did at Tether dominance did at that time, but I think it's possible we see a bit of an alt run, and we do have a lot of alts on monthly demand. So they're tenuous and they're quite hard as well because they do have a lot of supply on them too. But yeah, so now I'm kind of watching for, are we going to get a bit of a sideways here on Bitcoin? Sort of essentially in this, and timing is similar as well, this end of September phase where Bitcoin goes a bit more sideways here, ETH and alts get a bit of a run, and then we get the bigger drop towards the end of the month and into October. So we'll see. And, structurally, I actually kind of quite like this. It's basically the same, okay, this is a longer consolidation, but looking at the next demand, this has only just hit that next demand, but the bigger demand that hasn't been tested potentially is equivalent to that one or even lower. Um, but yeah, we could get a more significant drop following a similar structure to that. Um, anyway, yeah, there's just a few thoughts, but like I say, I'm bear biased until proven otherwise. There's too much supply here to not be. The only thing I guess I like and what people are probably watching is the possibility of a short squeeze of these highs. We do have a whole bunch of lower highs going on, but then also, there is realistically, while you could get a squeeze of those, once we start coming down, we don't go back and test highs. And we saw that quite a lot here, that people are like, oh, we made lower highs, it's got to go and take out that high, it's got to go and take out this high, and it never did. Did a bit of local stop hunting here, but it doesn't go back to take out highs. Once it's ready to come down, it leaves people trapped. Anyway, I hope that's helpful to people. I will try and be sharing more in the upcoming weeks. It's been a hectic year. I hope you're trading safely, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions.